welcome, first and foremost. We're being joined online and in person. It's great to be at RTS this year. And what we're doing are essentially a series of different demos around the consumer. So we're going to be beginning with data, and then we're going to lead into loyalty and some of the innovations and technology that we see there. So first off, pop quiz. If you all have been playing along with the live QR code poll that we've been doing this week, we really wanted to better understand how's everyone using data, right? And I think what's interesting here is that there's a lot of answers, and this is just a few of the many that we probably see on a daily basis within organizations, within retail. So certainly it seems there's a predominant amount around understanding consumer behavior as a whole. That's not that much of a surprise because of how much you can get out of that, right? The ROI, understanding a consumer to drive behavior. In our eyes, that all starts with data. And really, it's why we kind of call, because it is sought after, it's very hard to actually aggregate that if we all think about our retail environments. And so this is where FreedomPay as a technology company, this is where we focus. We are a technology company really focused on that consumer themselves. The challenge that retailers have is that this is what they are essentially dealing with. What we feel is a gap from a technology standpoint, because you've got legacy points of sale mixed with emerging technologies, mixed with a cross-border brand trying to do business in all types of countries, mixed with anything emerging they want to do. So on the back end, to aggregate that data, to be able to identify who the consumers are and really speak to that and understand it, it's a growing challenge. And so this is essentially the headache that we find retailers have on a daily basis. And it's only growing as new emerging technologies and channels start to present themselves in the payment ecosystem. So when it comes to data, we talked about the technology already presenting a gap. What we really find is there's a few key steps that retailers can take to be able to start to close that gap. And the first one really begins with just ensuring that your data is coming into one place at one time through a platform. Because at the platform level, you can start to have multiple integrations come together. And so what we're looking at right now is actually an example of a typical implementation within a retail ecosystem. So you'll have your standard point of sale, but you're also seeing the advent of kiosks and self-service checkout start to be born within the retail ecosystem. So to that end, that presents that fragmentation that we actually have been speaking about. So where FreedomPay as a technology company comes into play is in the middle of all this, because we have all these integrations to all these legacy point of sale systems, as well as all these emerging types of payments and digital as well. So the major challenge in the industry, bar none, in aggregating data is just getting all your data into one place at one time. And so this is how FreedomPay goes to market to solve this with our global merchants. Now the question becomes, right, I have my data, how do I identify Cedric Lourie's transactions from the next consumer's transactions in order to be able to understand their entire story? And so that's when we talk about tokens. And if we think about a standard payment token, you insert your card once, it gets encrypted and tokenized and scrambled and passes through your retailer's environment safely. That's payment security 101. The challenge when it comes to understanding the data and starting to study the consumer is that payment token expires. So if I come back and use my same card at that same retailer's location, it'll generate a new payment token. So again, great for payment security. It's less ideal when you're trying to study me as a consumer to understand what my habits are, or to understand what I like, or how I'd like to transact. So we set up this conversation with a payment token because, again, what we're talking about is aggregating data and really how FreedomPay partners with our retail merchants to solve for this. And so FreedomPay has developed something called an analytic token, where the difference is with a standard payment token expiring every time you insert that card, our analytic token will populate the same token so that our retailers can now start to study consumer behavior across that payment method. And so in our story of aggregating data, what we've now solved for is we can get data from all different channels because of all of our integrations. Because of this token, we can also now follow a consumer across that one payment method. So then what becomes the next question? To us, the next question is, well, now how do I follow you as a consumer across all of your different payment methods and really understand that full story of who you are and how you are transacting across all my various channels as a retail merchant? For us, the answer comes in the form of a digital wallet. Our retailer merchants will implement FreedomPay as a digital wallet, and then when those consumers use that merchant's wallet in their app and add all those different card types, FreedomPay on the back end can link all those. So what does that get you at the end of this? What you've now solved for is you are now seeing that consumer across all of your different locations, across all of your different revenue centers as a retailer globally on a regular basis, across the history of not one payment method, but all of that consumer's payment methods. And that is when you are now set up to be able to aggregate all of that data at the consumer level across all of your different channels on an ongoing global and daily basis. So the next question is, what do you do with that, right? You have now successfully aggregated and unified all of your data into one place. You can now identify consumers. Now that you have your data, the next question that FreedomPay sets out to answer with our retail merchants is, how do you activate on that data? And today, what FreedomPay does at the enterprise level is we partner with our merchants in one of two ways. We can purely be that unifying source of data, and we can provide that raw file format if a retailer already has a digital strategy or a data strategy, a BI platform that they like. Or we also have our own enterprise-grade self-service business intelligence platform if merchants don't want to handle their own data, if they don't want to have the responsibility of that manual nature of importing data, and they just purely want to get to the learnings and the insights of consumer trends. So we can cater to both, and this is how FreedomPay goes to market at the enterprise level to be able to offer these solutions that really activate on that data. So, just want to check in on how our live poll is doing. It seems like we are still charging ahead with understanding consumer data, which seems to be at the forefront of things. We'll keep checking in on this throughout the show. So with FreedomPay as a platform, the entry point to our platform is really the secure acceptance of payments. And at that entry point, you start to enter one piece of our overall platform within that consumer experience. Now what we've talked about in this session today is the second part of our platform at the bottom, which revolves around data, aggregation, understanding consumer trends so that you can start to activate on it. If you all come back for our future series today, we'll be talking about the last piece, which is how do you turn those learnings from all that data into an actual strategy to drive consumer behavior through things like loyalty and general demand generation. Thank you very much for joining us for the first session. This has been The Data, and we'll be here all week, so please feel free to come up and have questions.